Welcome to On Second Thought. I'm John Price, and I'm here with our pastor, Jay Hackett, where every week we take a deeper dive into life at Peachtree Corners Baptist Church. Whether we're talking about the latest sermon, upcoming events, or just whatever's on Jay's mind, this is your insider look at our church, our staff, and what makes PCBC your church on the corner. So join our conversation as we help you find community, purpose, and growth. Let's get into it. Hello, and thank you for joining us for episode 20 of On Second Thought. 20 episodes, that's awesome. That's a great start, and I think it's just kind of become part of the rhythm of what we do here at PCBC now. Of course, we've had, it being the summer, we've had a lot of special episodes and a lot of stuff kind of break into that. Our regular, what seems to be regular, at least during the year. But we are fresh off the heels of a great QBM last night.
Yes.
And a lot of, just celebration across the board. It was awesome.
I know you're thinking at home, a great QBM. No, really. It was a great night. Had, a lot of great things that we're celebrating. We're celebrating all the different things that are happening around our church right now and all the things we celebrated this summer, but then just looking at where we are and poised for what God is doing. Some of the things we shared last night is attendance is booming. We're 150 up from where we were this time last year, which is fantastic. We're also coming through summer over budget. I can honestly tell you in the 20 years that I have been here on the staff, we have never made budget during the summer. This time last year, we were 32,000 down, and as of today, we are 144,000 up. And so just God's hand has continued to be on the church, celebrating that, hearing all the stories, hearing the life change. Got to hear about Kenya again last night and just some of the opportunities that we have coming up here very soon. It's a special time right now in the life of our church.
Missions giving. The goal for the year was 160.
That's right.
And it's sitting with still, the year's not over, a few weeks left. What is it sitting at right now?
It's about 194. So already.
So 34,000 over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. People are just, I think, have a heart for missions, and I think it shows, that we can use that money to just fund more special projects and just see God continue to move around the world.
Yeah, it's exciting. We did get a lot of reports, not just from Wallace giving the report on the stage, but people in the at the QB quarterly business meeting. For those of you uninitiated, we just couldn't think of anything more boring to call it, so we just by its initials. And it really is. Time after time, we're just in a great season. It is a time of celebration.
New members and
yeah.
And I love that one of the things that we've added to that QBM is a for the good of the church. And so it's just neat to hear.
Was that this time? Was that the first?
We've actually added it this year.
Okay.
And so with each of our QBMs, just right there at the end, we just say, hey, y'all share the stories of what God's doing and how you're getting to see God's hand at work. And it was just neat to hear the stories from around and just, different connections, different things that are happening. Many that we knew about, some we didn't know about. That's kind of the one thing you think, okay, in a church the size of Peachtree Corners, we know everybody, we know everything that's happening, but then you get to hear how people are investing in neighbors. You get to hear how, hey, my kid was on this rec team and here's what happened and here's a family now that's connected to our church because of, and it's just neat to watch God's hand as it all moves around.
Yeah, it's exciting going into the fall, just thinking, man, what does this semester hold?
We're 2 weeks away from promotion. The summer has flown. Now, I know that
Don't
only
remind
matters
me.
for the kids, right?
Promotion, right? Yeah.
Like K through 5th really cares about that. The adults, all we do is just add another digit on the sign that's outside of your door, and because none of them really move classes.
There's only one or two classes that do promotion, and that's like promotion into heaven. That's some of the others, but the older classes. But no, we will talk towards the end of the episode about some stuff coming up in the fall, when those things are happening. We got a lot of stuff to cover. So let's kind of shift into the series we've been talking about, Cultivating Character. You talked about gentleness on Sunday. Got one more
One more week.
Yeah, one more. Anything from Sunday's sermon that you want to kind of expound on? Anything you didn't get a chance to say?
I felt like we covered a lot of it, but I think that idea of, hey, am I being gentle? Right? It's almost that the ability to hit pause. And I think for some of us, we would learn a lot if we could take a beat before we just respond. Because sometimes when we get heated or something happens and we're like, my gosh, you know who I am? I'm going to, let me school you here for a moment.
Right.
To hit pause, to step back and go, hold on a second. Is there a way that I can be compassionate in this situation? Is there a way that I can share my convictions, with courage, as we talked about yesterday, but in a way that would honor God, in a way that would not immediately chastise this person, or want them to turn around and go, hey, I don't want to have a conversation with you anymore because, we're never going to see eye to eye in this, but something that would just kind of slow it down and say, hey, it's interesting that you say that. Here's my take on that, and we can agree to disagree if that's where you need to be, and I'm okay with that, but I'd love to hear why you feel that way or how, what has happened in your life, right? There's always something we don't know about in somebody's life. And so it's, okay, why do you think that? Or how have you been led to make that decision? And sometimes when you hear their story, it's like, okay, well, I can see how that path has led you to this decision. And, me coming here and condemning you is not going to help bring you any closer to a relationship with Christ. Let me begin to walk you through that. And so, just that whole idea of hitting pause and going, okay, instead of responding like I want to respond right now, God, would you give me the words to be able to just have a good conversation with somebody and prayerfully leave them wanting more?
Well, yeah, I think that is kind of what it boils down to is what is your desired outcome? Is it just to be right? Mm-hmm. And so if it's just to be right, then yeah, you can be a jerk. It doesn't matter how you deliver that message, but we're called to do more than just be right. We're called to help be agents of the kingdom, to help transform people. And so in order to get people to change their perspective, their way, we all do what seems right to us. And that might be because of circumstances in our life, defaults from family dynamics and patterns. And it might be because of woundedness or just how we've been taught. To get somebody to completely shift the way they think takes more than just being right. Correct. It takes more than just argument or even, fine rational points. You don't beat them into submission. To what was that? Beatings will continue until morale improves.
Until morale improves.
Doesn't quite happen that way. And so if the end result is life change, then gentleness is one of the best tools to use. Is okay, I need to be curious. I need to find out, why is this the way that you think? Why is this? And then in love and gentleness, I want to say what my convictions are, what I think is right and wrong, in a way that you can hear it.
Correct.
Because communication is not just what I say, it's what you hear, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's a huge step. Nobody wants to be around people who their end result is to be right.
Yeah.
I cannot. It's an opportunity to be around those people and to be gentle to them, to help them change their mindset that, look, there's a longer path.
Correct.
And a better finish line than just this.
Well, that's what I say. None of us change in one conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, It's okay. Let me take that back, chew on it. Let me reflect on it. And there are times in our life where we're like, I'm not going to change. I just don't want to change. I know I should change. I know you're probably right, but I'm just not there yet. You know? And so that gentleness is attractive in a way of going, okay, I'm not there yet. Let me ask, do I want to be there? Maybe I do, and maybe I start asking the right questions because I want to grow and I want to get there. But I also know that because this person has been gentle towards me, All right, let's come back. Let's double back around. Let me ask you more about this because I'd really like to learn from you. May disagree with you, but I can learn something here in this, and eventually maybe God gives you that opportunity to see them actually come to Christ, and then that's where discipleship steps in of not just, dropping truth bombs like I was talking about Sunday, but it's walking with you through the ups and downs of life. And it does get messy, but as I said Sunday, it's so worth it just to be able to do life with people. And that's what, Paul said. We loved you so much. We wanted to share the gospel, but our lives as well, because you had become so dear to us. And I think that's why it's so relational, not transactional, as we talked about Sunday. And having that gentleness changes everything.
Gentleness leaves the door open.
That's right.
For further discussion down the road. Yeah.
And so wrap it up this week with gluttony, with self-control. Self-control on Sunday, and we'll have some fun time with that. But it's just been a great series. It's been good to kind of break these down because as we talked about, some of them they run together, and you feel like, well, what's the difference between kindness and gentleness? And what's the difference between, isn't that all the same thing? And it's been neat to say it's really not the same thing, but they're all connected to each other. And when you have the love of Christ, it leads you to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And so the more of the Holy Spirit chopping away, chiseling away at our lives to make us look more like Jesus, the more those things really begin to reveal themselves in our life. And from time to time, they're going to pop up and you're like, ooh, got to deal with that one again. It's not a one-time fix.
Right.
That's the key for all of us as believers is to continually go back to the well, go back to Christ and go, hey, I'm needing help on this one. Needing help. You got to show me this because I can't do it. Only you can do it in and through me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's not, well, I blew it in this area of patience. I need to focus on being more patient. I blew it in patience. I need to make sure that I'm walking in the Spirit. I'm walking with Christ. And that's what, makes that fruit grow. So it's been great. Anytime that, especially during the summer, we can take something from the Scripture where there's a list in a sense. And we've been saying it's not a list of individual things, but where we can take each facet and really wrestle with it. And that's, some of the best communicators have realized it's not in taking these 2 or 3 chapter sections. Sometimes it's just taking 1 or 2 words and really wrestling with it and meditating on it. So that has been a great exercise and opportunity this summer is taking those 9 elements of the fruit of the Spirit and really kind of digging in and seeing what are these really? They've been kind of the flyover states
correct.
of what we think we know what they mean, and they're far richer than at first pass. So let's finish up our talk about the Kenya trip because last episode, and if you haven't seen last episode, please go see it. Talking about the first part of that trip, the safari, untold ministry, just gelling as a group. But we filmed that on Wednesday. We went through, I think it was Monday night, the next Monday night that we got on the plane to come back home. And so a lot happened in between last episode and the end of the trip. So you want to kind of open that up for us, Wallace?
Yeah, we packed a lot in to that trip. It was such a great team. When we got to Valley Light on that Thursday, the kids were still in school, and so we were able to just get unpacked, get settled, and then when the kids got on the bus, it was just just loving on them. They loved to see us. Immediately started playing sports and games with them just to show them love. It was fantastic. And, one of the things that we got to do as a team was to have devotions with the kids before they went to bed. They do that every night. And so we had our team each day have different folks lead that devotion with those kids. So just a precious time of singing songs with them, a little Bible lesson. So that was awesome. But then they had to go to school the next day. And so one of the things that we did on Friday morning was we went to the Christian school, Pisgah Heights. They have about 250 kids at this school. It's a great Christian school. They're trying to train these kids up with advanced education and Christian values. And so our job was to help them see different careers that they could potentially aspire to. beyond just what the Kenyan culture may tell them. And so with our team, such a variety of different occupations, so they could see, there is availability for engineering, teaching, counseling, pastor, finance and banking, just all the things, nursing, that they may have a desire to aspire to. And so the kids asked great questions. They were curious about that, what kind of coursework you had to take, how long of an education it would require, and just helping them to think through that God's created them all differently with different skills and different gifts and passions, and that He's got a story to write on their lives. So it was a beautiful time as well at that school. That Friday.
You mentioned playing the games with the kids and stuff at the home. Typically, when a group comes and visits Valley Light, they stay in the town up the hill. Mm-hmm. What town is that again?
Kajabi.
And so we stayed actually on campus, and so that afforded us the ability to have every meal with the kids, and great food. They have 3 chefs, but those people were there because of the children, for the children. They believed in Valley Light. But when we were debriefing as a group in the evenings, that was a new thing even for the group. Last time you guys went, you stayed in Kajabi. But this made such a difference because we had middle school and high school kids with us that jumped right in there, got to know the kids. And it made for kind of a sad goodbye. But it showed that just very quickly the relational stuff made a big imprint. So that was quite that was a win. Staying on campus. You can't always do that because of the numbers.
Right.
But
that was a big benefit. Just the size of the team was 15 people, but was a great group, but just enough to stay on campus there, so we could spend that evening time with them. The relations that we built with the kids and with John and Leigh and the staff was just fantastic. It did make it really sad to leave, but then Saturday came, and that was the big water filter distribution. Partnering with Just One Africa, the money that the kids had raised through VBS to purchase these filters, and so it was an amazing operation where these families had lined up at 7 a.m. to get on site, and just
about 200 people.
200 filters. 200 families received these filters. And so, John Jerogi did a great sermon from John 4 about the living water and the spring of water welling up to eternal life. There were 12 people that said, hey, I want to accept Christ, and, for us, we've heard that story so many times, but for some of these folks, they'd never really heard that, didn't understand it.
And John presented it. I mean, John's a great communicator.
Yeah, he was a great message. But they taught them the spiritual aspect of what they were doing, but also the these water filters are so life changing. They explained to them how to wash their hands, how to change the filters, how to backwash them, and they have to do it correctly for it to be effective. But if they do that, it just changes their family's life, and
it'll last for years and years,
generations. So it was just a neat process to see how that went.
Yeah, it was neat seeing our team kind of interspersed with Valley Light and the volunteers, the people with Just One Africa, kind of making this process work as they went to the different stations. And they vet the people. They have people. It was more than a one-day event because the volunteers, the people with Just One Africa, they go out into these communities to find where is the need. And invite those people to come in because they are expensive. And there's people that show up that aren't on the list hoping.
Right. And then they get added to the waiting list for another time.
And there's 2,000?
There's 2,000 people on the waiting list, and the only limitation is really funds. Each water filter is $65, right? And so the more that between Valley Light and Just One Africa receive the funds, they can distribute these filters. But in terms of not being just one day, they follow up afterwards as well.
Right.
And they go into these homes just to make sure that they're using these filters correctly, that they are doing the sanitation. They actually did the hand washing song. They had all these older
kind of
Kenyans.
row your boat.
We do that with kids, in preschool and whatnot. But they showed these older Kenyans, some grandmothers, just how to wash hands, front and back, between the fingers, just because they've never really had that. Making sure they wash their vegetables with the clean water. Just things that we think are basic. they didn't have that type of training. So the fact that they spent so much time explaining just sanitation was very helpful. So.
Yeah, and it's hard, when you've been doing something a certain way your whole life, it's hard to just change on a dime. I mean, even looking at it from our perspective, when we're brushing our teeth there,
right,
we had to make sure to use the clean water. But I mean, how normal is it for us to just go to the sink and do that and get sick?
Right.
So that was, even just a short bit, we had to be very mindful of that. And they're fighting against, they have to unlearn years and years of stuff. Yeah. But that was, very, very cool.
Yeah.
We also have been reporting about the flooding that's happened in that area. And we got to take a walking tour of the area where that levee broke.
Yeah.
And you can see up on the hillside where all that water came down, and then just the swath of destruction for a couple 100 yards wide, and then for miles and miles. And it killed over 100, but I don't know how. I can't remember the exact number.
Yeah, I think it was over 100. Just these houses just completely washed away, and I don't think I realized the devastation until we actually saw it.
No way to,
And then after the Texas floods here, it's more closer to home. But then when we went there and we saw that they experienced something even worse than that, which is hard to imagine. And these boulders that had been moved from the mountains into the valley. It was like a garden of huge boulders that had, crushed houses, and amazing what had happened. Very, very difficult tragedy that they had.
John pointed out some areas. He was, one of the boulders was basically on top of and almost completely covering the foundation of a house. Nothing else was there. One of the boulders that we all kind of took a picture next to, that we were in the shadow of, had to have been about 25 feet tall and big as a house. There's no telling how much that thing weighed. And just hundreds and hundreds of these boulders just out in the field that were not there before. Massive trees uprooted and moved, down. And so just the destruction, walking through that, it was very humbling.
Yeah, and so just the fact that John and Leah Jirogi were there to be a pastor to that community. I know Amy Barrett flew there last November to help counsel families and the kids because it was such a tragedy. So, it was just very much affected that community. Yeah,
it was an opportunity for them, because the floodwater just kind of went around Valley Light property. Right. And so a lot of the community there thought, okay, God has spared them. And so they were able to use their message and to come in and help in practical ways. When the area governmental leaders got together to try to figure out what's next, they met at Valley Light in their conference room. And so this was a wonderful opportunity for them to minister to the community, to that area. And I think not only will that help the cause of Christ and the kingdom, but it'll help Valley Light, because some government things are happening right now as well that will affect what they're doing with their children's home. As far as they've kind of made this blanket statement, they're going to be ending within a short window any kind of orphanage, any kind of children's home. And so they're kind of putting that to God, saying, God, what does this mean for us? What do we do? What are next steps? And already God has kind of revealed some neat opportunities that might actually, instead of limiting what they can do, expand on what they can do, which is exciting. We'll wait to hear more about that. But that was a sobering experience to walk through there, but also exciting to hear how they were able to to make an impact.
For sure. Yeah.
We also had the opportunity to go worship on Sunday.
We did.
At a local church. Pastor Bernard was, great communicator, a lot of energy in that worship. I mean, it was something else. One of our guys, Jerry Ballard, grew up in Africa, and it was more southern Africa.
Burkina Faso, yeah. I think on the western side, I believe.
Okay, all right, and man, he felt like home. He was getting into it. He was enjoying it. But it was very moving. There were times where the kids came out and danced and sang, and it was special.
Yeah, was it in Swahili or was it in English? Or
I'll let you feel that.
Yeah, normally they do the service in Swahili, but because we were there, they were going to do it in English. So the main pastor did preach in English, and they had a translator into Swahili, so we could participate. And then later in the service, John Jarogi preached. So we got 2 sermons. They weren't.
Tell me more about that. I think we ought to go into that.
It was 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
So.
But it was
2.5.
Yes,
we're an hour and 15. That's
right.
not bad at all. When you think about that. Yeah.
But the joy of the Lord was just so evident in that place. I mean, you think about, it's a place of poverty, a place of, again, tragedy and difficulty. But the joy of the Lord between the preaching, the worship team, and the congregation was just amazing, and it's really just kind of convicting. Do we worship with that kind of joy, with that kind of exuberance? It was fantastic just to be there and just imagining, heaven, just all the different races and tongues and, cultures are going to come together to worship Jesus one day. And so it's just a taste of heaven,
Yeah.
So it was fantastic.
We had, at the school, not only did we do career day, but we did a VBS day after worship time. We grabbed lunch and then went.
Yeah, we took a mini VBS. So basically, from what we did here with Magnified, we took some songs and crafts and rec and Bible story and brought that to the school with 100 kids came. We divided them up. One group would go to crafts while one group went to music. And we were told from the Valley Light and school staff how phenomenal that it was, how prepared we were, which was great. Sometimes we felt like we weren't necessarily as prepared, but we were.
Yeah.
And the kids loved it. Just seeing these kids sing these songs and do the motions and enjoy the rec and really see how God is magnified even in the small things and how He can be magnified in their lives, which is just really neat to see. Their joy. The fact that we could bring those type of materials between the crafts. We had a leaf behind for the kids to bless them and just to see them get excited about, some things they don't get very often. They don't get a VBS type of thing that we get. So to take an afternoon and really let them experience sort of an Americanized VBS, I think was just fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we did this for rec in Costa Rica last year, and then this year with the parachutes.
Yeah.
And that parachute was a hit. We weren't quite sure if the older kids would get into it. All 3 of those rotations, they had so much fun, and Scott Barrett leading the games, and the kids just our kids mixing it up. It was fun to watch, and they did a great job. There's some great photos that'll come along with that. But the kids had so much fun, and then having those little bags of goodies for them as they left. It felt good to bless them that way.
That's right. A small thing that we could just bring a few supplies, but for them it just means a lot.
Yeah.
Just to take this little bag home, and so it was great. And then back to Valley Light. One of the things that we did at Valley Light, even in that facility there, was just bring them some new games to play. If you think about a children's home, they play a lot of soccer.
Yeah,
which is great. They love it, but just helping them to learn. They asked Charlie, "Hey, teach us American football." So they were out there playing, 2-hand touch football. We brought a cross net as well, a volleyball type of game that was such a hit that we left there. Just another opportunity for them to fellowship together. We taught them ultimate frisbee. Bill Patzer, who was he actually
in nationals.
In college he was like a national ultimate frisbee player, and it's just such a fun game. So we just had a few frisbees and a cones, and we just showed them how to play, explain the rules, so they again just have another outlet when they're there, just to fellowship and exercise and play sports. So it was fun to see.
Yeah. Monday.
Yep.
I got to go speak to some pastors. They had a little pastors meeting, and that was, John asked me early, he said, "Do you want to preach on Sunday? Do you want to speak at this or both?" And I was like, I've not heard you preach before. I'd love to hear you preach. And he had not preached there, but maybe 1 or 2 times. And he's actually a mentor to Pastor Bernard. And so we got to hear him preach, and then I got to speak and to the pastors and got to talk to them about some of the stuff that we're talking about here, really kind of focused on the idea of identity and the the element of joy that's tied to that are going to be two of the three core principles to our follow-up class, develop to our disco class. And so that's something that y'all will hear more and more about as we just use that as the basis of understanding our identity and how we minister through how God created us. But it was a good opportunity to speak to them. We had a great time.
Yeah, so every Monday morning, there's a group of pastors that get together just to encourage each other. And there was a very small room. I don't know how many pastors, 20 or 30 pastors in there.
I think it was, of course, this is pastor speak. There was at least 500.
500.
No, I think there was probably by the end, because they were kind of pouring in, maybe around 35, 40.
Yeah. But these pastors came together, and Jon just did such a great job helping them to just think through joy. And we think that Kenyans have a lot of joy, and they do. But being a pastor can be frustrating when you're trying to grow your congregation. I'm sure financial difficulties because they don't give. Like maybe churches here in America, there's comparison, but in Kenya, they have a very status-oriented culture. And so pastors are put on a pedestal. And so Jon encouraged them to be humble, but also be confident. So it's just a great mixture. But also on a Monday morning when they're just tired and they spent all day on Sunday and maybe there were some frustrations, just to be re-energized. I thought the encouragement for these pastors was great. I mean, they seem to really eat up, what Jon was talking about with their identity, with just maintaining their joy, and not trying to compare themselves with each other. This competition that can come up, just to serve where the Lord's called them in that place. And it was just really, really a great time of encouragement for these folks.
Yeah, and I just normally when I have to speak and there's a translator. That gets in my head, and it's hard to. But just my prayer that day was, God, help them to hear what they need to hear, and it just kind of flowed well, and it felt good to be a part of that. And even before that, Jon and Pastor Bernard, and then a couple people from that group approached and we're talking about maybe a pastor's conference, doing, us coming in and doing a pastor's conference. And I said, I know that Jay would love to do that, and we would be honored to be a part of that as well. So that's something we're looking towards. He gave us a few best times on the calendar for them. But that's something that you can join us in prayer about, is that pastor's conference that we can pour into these guys, because they don't get the opportunity for further education. Yeah. And so anything that we can do to help them think about what it means to be in ministry. So it was a great opportunity that, we're wanting to do again, to continue to partner with them, possibly even partner with some of these others a little more than, that we have in the past. But a successful trip. Certainly a great experience for folks who have not. It was my first time to Kenya. I think it was Bill's first mission trip.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids, got to do stuff that maybe they've not done before, but they met that challenge. Yeah. We had a sweet time, great time. So now let me shift gears again, just kind of to wrap up, looking to the fall. It's just a couple weeks away. We have our night of worship on August 6th.
Correct.
So we have, as you said, promotion coming up. We like to start our semesters off with that night of worship, to where we all meet together on a Wednesday night. We sing, we pray, we just focus on the semester ahead. It's also an opportunity for folks to hear about what are the different adult classes that we're going to be offering. So we'll certainly be promoting those before then, but kind of hey, next week it starts, guys. And so if you have not signed up for something yet, let us really encourage you to do so.
That prayer and praise night that we started doing before the semester, it is one of my favorite times of the year. I mean, we come together and just worship and praise and pray, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
So let me encourage you, if you haven't come to that, Jacob does a great job leading. There's prayer time. It's just great. So at August
August 6th.
August 6th. Put it on your calendar.
Yeah. And we've got some great groups that are going to be meeting this semester. You'll hear more about them. I'm going to be leading one with Josh Deaton on rare leadership that anyone can be a part of, but we really are hoping that those who are in lay leadership, our elders and deacons, if they can make it on Wednesdays, because we want to make sure that we're pouring into them, equipping them, and those who might be going into those ministries in the days as well. So.
Yeah, Kids Pray starts back, right? So that's a huge kids program. A lot of kids participate in that. And of course, my wife, oversees that program. And so we're pretty proud of it. And she does a great job with that. So,
well, and seeing her lead the music at the VBS thing, you can just tell she's in her element. That's what she loves to do. Yeah. She found real joy in that. And that comes across. So, yeah. And that's we got a lot of kids come to be a part of that. They love it. The performance at the end is always very impressive. So, a lot of opportunities this fall. You'll hear more about it. Just know that we are scrambling to get it all ready. So be praying for us in the meantime. But want to thank you for being a part of this episode. Covered a lot of ground, but it's because great stuff is happening here at PCBC. We're glad you're a part of it. Thank you for your participation, your generosity. And we would encourage that you would share this episode, this podcast, with others, maybe who are visiting, who maybe don't have a church home yet, because we would love to be their church home. So thank you. We ask that you like, share, subscribe, comment, all the things. But have a great rest of your day, and God bless. Well, that's it for this episode of On Second Thought. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. If you have a question or thought, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to find out more about your church on the corner, check us out at pcbchurch.org. We'll be back next week with more. So until then, have a great week and God bless. You have